Okay,
like
can you hear me? Test?
It's like a 20-second.
Alright, so if you don't know where you're at, this is the Ethical Hacking Club. This is our kickoff meeting for fall 2021. During this meeting, we're just going to kind of gloss over what we're going to be doing this year and talk a little bit about some very high level of what cybersecurity is, or some components of cybersecurity. So we have this quote by Robert Mueller, very accurate quote that there are only two companies. There are those that have been hacked and those that are going to get hacked at some point. It's in the security industry. It's not necessarily will it happen, but when. So our goal is to prolong that as good guys. We want to make that as far out in the future as possible. All right, so in the audience, what are some definitions for cybersecurity that you guys, or what comes to mind when you think of cybersecurity? Business, okay. Ethical hacking, okay, good answer. Russia, okay. The government. Espionage. All right, so if you had to give a definition for cybersecurity, what would you, a sentence long, five to 10 word, nothing crazy, how would you sum up cybersecurity in all of its massiveness? 5 to 10 words is not a lot, but protecting information on the internet. Okay, that's a good one. What you got? Okay, creating defenses for data and information of users. Okay, that's another good one. I would say both of those are definitely accurate. Those are parts of cybersecurity for sure. Anybody else? Okay, making sure only the right people have access to non-compromised data. So yeah, you guys, absolutely all of those are right, and all of those are components. So according to IBM, they have this really long paragraph that I will let you read, and I won't lecture it to you. But that just kind of sums up that, we're trying to protect systems, and we're trying to protect information in a digital manner. We're not, although physical is relevant and is important, mostly on a digital or system level. So here are just a few interesting stats and might be good reasons as to why to get into cybersecurity. So as of right now, it's projected to be in 2022 that roughly 170 billion will be spent on cybersecurity or information security. So that could be hiring people to fix stuff, hiring people to, write new implementations to keep things secure. There's so many different things that are involved in that, but that's a lot of money. It would be interesting to see that comparison to where other industries are. We didn't get those statistics, but so another, which honestly probably the most interesting statistic in my opinion, the 1 in 13 web requests lead to malware. That's kind of a scary thought. No one wants malware. That's keeping if you're a cybersecurity or if you're a malware person, that's keeping you a job, I guess. But man, 1 in 13, that's a lot. And then we have 4 million cybersecurity jobs are currently unfilled. So again, the demand is extremely high for cybersecurity professionals. So if you're looking to go into cybersecurity, you're in a field that has a lot of demand, and you're probably not going to be hard pressed to find a job anytime super soon. Oh, that's the wrong one. See, there's 2 laptops, and I get it backwards now. All right, so I'm gonna let Charlie take over for a minute. So our table of contents, this is just kind of what we're covering today, and then we have a lab/fun activity at the end that is not included on that slide. So.
Yep. So we're going to touch on 4 items here: who we are, what we do, kind of our plans for fall 21, and a couple of resources that might be helpful for you. So who are we? What is AUEHC? So as you saw from the beginning slide, we're the Ethical Hacking Club of the university. I think I recognize a couple people from the ACM meeting last night. We're actually a child organization of ACM. So that's a computing club that does like CPT as well as AI. But we focus more on cybersecurity, as you might have imagined. We're student run, although we've worked with national labs as well as faculty on several occasions. And we primarily focus on teaching and learning about cybersecurity topics throughout the semester. So I'm Charlie Harper. I'm the president. With me today is my VP, Ethan Johnson. And secretary is right there. That's Mr. John Aldridge. And along with him is our treasurer, Maureen Baker, right there. And Miss Vicky right there is our, there she is. She's the public relations right there. And we've got a couple technical leads with us today as well. So there's Trip Isbell over there, Zachary Leggett, and Enoch doesn't look like he's here today, but we have a pretty excellent webmaster working with us today. If you're interested in kind of I wanted to say administrative role or an officer role, or you're interested in leading something, feel free to reach out. We're kind of broadening kind of positions and looking for people to take over some things. So just feel free to reach out. Additionally, our faculty advisor is Dr. T. You might have heard of him. He's Dr. Daniel Torres. Really nice guy. He does AI, I think, right?
Yeah,
AI,
so his focus is artificial intelligence, and he is the interim director for the ACRC, which is the Auburn Cyber Research Center.
Yeah. So. He also works with Jason Cuneo and Dr. Springall. Many of you, I'm sure, are familiar with at least one of them. Very, very technically capable people and very smart and kind. So yeah, they've helped us with competitions like SecDec, as well as putting on some CTFs, and they're very good resources. So that's kind of who we are. Second item we're going to be going over is what we do. So we kind of have a broad approach to cybersecurity, or we have in the past. But we've really touched on 3 different general categories. So offensive or red teaming. So that's kind of your pen testing or ethical hacking, maybe bug hunting. You could probably put into that bucket as well. We've touched a lot on defensive security as well. So that's kind of your blue teaming, digital forensics, incident response, that kind of field. And then we've also, touched a little bit on purple teaming. So as a red teamer, you might work directly with the blue team and start going over vulnerabilities directly with them and showcasing how you found vulnerabilities in that thing. We haven't touched too much on that in the past, but as you can imagine, it's kind of a easy transition if you're covering those 2. Additionally, this seems a little out of place still, but one important aspect of security is the CIA triad, right? So the CIA triad, you're going to hear it over and over and over. We thought we might as well introduce it here. So it's kind of the backbone to security in many ways, and it's confidentiality. So some of you touched on this when you were going over description of cybersecurity or cyber is protecting information in a sense that only people who should be able to see the information do. So that's confidentiality. One aspect of security. Along with that is integrity. So that's validating that any information that's transmitted is actually the information you think it is. So you see that in hashes and things of that nature, digital signatures. And then lastly, availability. So this is kind of systems should be available when you need them to be. That's more or less it. But really how this fits into security is, I think Ethan wanted to touch on this early, but yeah, go ahead.
Okay, so I like this image that I have here because it kind of demonstrates trade-offs a little bit and how valuable that is. So, for example, if I make something insanely confidential and really computationally hard to figure out, is its availability really that good? Probably not. If I have to spend 2 hours doing some massive computation to get 1 + 1 or some very simple thing out, it's not very available. If I make it available to literally everybody, then can I verify integrity? Can I verify confidentiality? In cyber, there is trade-offs everywhere you go. If you make something easier, then maybe a bad guy, an adversary, it makes it easier for them as well. So what do you value? Do you value, I want it here in 0.2 seconds, or am I okay to have it in 2 seconds, maybe a little bit longer, and it be more secure? Time, speed, all of that is factored into that. So trade-offs are good. You're going to see trade-offs as a continuing trend everywhere you go within cybersecurity in general. So, all right. So we're going to talk about some of the events we're going to be doing this year. So as we have discussed multiple times, I know in going to classrooms and in also the ACM meeting, we're going to be doing several CTFs this semester. We're going to also be doing CTFs in the spring, so throughout the whole year. We also have SecDec, which will be in February or January, so that'll be springtime. So SecDec is more of a blue team focused competition where you're given a network, so 7 or 8 machines, and you're told to defend that from active attackers that are trying to break in and take whatever or leave memes on your machine, or it's a lot of fun. Great competition that we've done the last 2 years, and I personally have learned a lot from. Then we also have CPTC, which is coming up in October, I believe. That is the collegiate penetration testing competition. So that is more on the offensive side. I think one year somebody broke a dam. Breaking into things can be fun, right? Scanning, actually trying to have a real somewhat live simulated environment that you can go break stuff and try and get in and do malicious things. And then also writing reports and then presenting your findings to executive or fake executives in this case. Again, all very relevant to real world.
Yeah, that's for those of you familiar with security already, that's kind of it's in the name. It's a penetration test of an organization.
Yep.
So you're contracted out to an organization, and you're told to find vulnerabilities and basically make a report for them so that they can go in and fix those issues. You got to tell them why they're problems. It's a good competition to learn, and you can break a lot of stuff. Not in a good way though. So
because sometimes there's not always things that you want to break. Think about if you're actually attacking a company or
you're hired on to attack you.
Yes. You're not as a bad guy, but maybe somebody hires you to do an adversarial simulation, for example. Maybe there are certain things that are either out of scope or you're not supposed to touch X, Y, Z, and you just go and start breaking everything you see, and next thing you know, you've broken some live production environments, and they're like, "What's going on? You just cost us $1 million or something." And that's things that really happen. That they're trying to test, and they touch something they're not supposed to. So again, knowing what's in scope, and then only touching the things you're supposed to touch is very important. So we also have a CyberFire that we do. So we actually did our CyberFire puzzles event 2 weeks ago now.
Yep.
And I know a lot of you were there, and I think a lot of you learned a lot. So we did that, and then we have a Tracer Fire event that we did last year during the spring, and it's more of like an incident response. So an incident happens, and they collect PCAP logs, they collect all of the disk of the machines, and you basically are dumped with gigabytes of data and say, okay, go solve it. How did this happen? Where was the entry point? This malware was ran. Well, what was the malware doing? So that was a lot of fun, and we did that last year, and hopefully we'll do that again this year. And then we also have AUEHC. So AUEHC, if you were at the ACM meeting yesterday, Jared talked about that. So we will have some part of AUEHC that we kind of put on as a club. I know in years past we've done like a mini CTF and given some talks and lectures on just basic things. Most of the stuff we would have probably already covered in the club, but it's definitely a good opportunity to go meet people, and even if they're not particularly cybersecurity related, making connections can be very valuable.
Yeah,
connections is super important.
It's a valuable place to network, as well as last year we had prizes for the CTF. So if you get familiar with the CTF and you enjoy that, you might be able to win something at the AUEHC.
Yep.
So here we're gonna touch on kind of our plans next. So this is kind of a breakdown of the next, 4 weeks. So as you can see, we're going to have a boot camp in the next 2 weeks. This is going to go over kind of a high-level view of several different topics, including offensive security as well as defensive security, and kind of how that can be broken down. Following that, our good friend over there, one of the tech leads, is going to be going over, Trip is going to be going over cryptography those 2 weeks following. After that, in preparation for CPTC, I should preface this, we are planning on doing training in addition to meetings for some of the other events like SecTech and CPTC, where we're going to have faculty coming and teaching specific things like Linux fundamentals, Windows fundamentals, Windows registry, where to look and
where to find logs.
I think Ansible might be something we're going to be going over for provisioning as well as scanning and all kinds of crap. But in preparation for CPTC, we're going to be doing reconnaissance and exploitation. So kind of looking at how to scan hosts, how to find vulnerabilities, and then the week after that, how to exploit those vulnerabilities so you can actually get onto the systems, get shells, and then, maybe privilege escalation, potentially. But that's kind of where we're going to be going with that. Game hacking is going to follow that. That's going to be really cool, I think. I don't know if any of you all have ever done that, but it's fun. And then we're going to have a guest speaker coming over from Sandia National Labs. He's an incident responder or incident response analyst over at SNL. He's going to be coming and teaching reverse engineering. We're hoping to look at some malware and maybe look at assembly and do some cool stuff there. The next week, more reversing. It's a pretty broad topic, so yeah, it's fun though. After that, Vicky is going to be teaching social engineering and potentially OSINT, which she is very, very good at. If you're not familiar with that, that's going to be a lot of fun. And then finally, lockpicking. Some of you have probably done that when we were on the concourse during O Week. You might have done a little bit of that, but I'm going to teach you shimming, how to pick locks, how to get out of handcuffs, and I think Dr. Springall might show us some anti-tampering techniques. So be ready for that. Next.
All right, so we have 3 things. We have a website, a Discord, and an Instagram. So for the website, we just post general updates there. We post write-ups that John does of every meeting. There's also some previous write-ups that you might be interested in. And again, just general events and announcements will be posted there. We also make announcements on our Discord. That's probably the best place to reach out to us, or email. Email also works. But yeah, Discord, we'll make announcements and just have general security talk. If you have a question about, hey, is this implementation of some cryptographic thing secure? Just post it in the Discord, and Trip may know, or one of us may know, or who knows. You can just feel free to any questions that you have about any, even remotely, cyber topic. And then we also have the Instagram, and that same thing. We post updates there and when we're doing events and that type of stuff. So that particular QR code is to the Discord. So if you scan that, that's where that's going to take you. All right, so we've gotten out of the way most of the...
Oh, wait. There is more. Projects. If you have a project you want to work on, I think someone had mentioned a keylogger at one point that they had been working on. If you have something you want to do, we've got resources. Just post something on the Discord. Let us know. We might be able to get you some hardware. Someone else might be interested in working with you. I don't know. I'm going to be doing malware development this semester. So if you're into something like that, let us know. We are more than happy to help where we can. So yeah.
And we have resources to help you as well.
We do.
I mean, all the people mentioned at the beginning, our faculty advisors are very supportive and want us to do what we enjoy. So, if you wanna, I don't know, do just about anything, you will have support of one of those 3 faculty members. almost guarantee. So, all right. So now we've gotten past all of the boring-ish over just kind of setup, I guess, that is every kickoff meeting. So we are going to go to what we call lab time, where we're going to actually do some mock CTF challenges. So we have a mock CTF server that has, how many challenges does it have on it, Zach? A lot. I think it's over 100 challenges that are up on it right now. So I've got a kind of a guide of how to access that. So two things. First off, if you already are familiar with cybersecurity, Linux, that type of stuff, if you already have a virtual machine, if you already know how to set up a virtual machine, all of that, that is spectacular. You could go ahead and, once I start going through these slides, you can go ahead and go to this and begin working on any of the challenges. If you do not have any Linux background, if you are unfamiliar with how to set up a virtual machine, then I'm going to walk you through how to do that shortly, so everybody can be on the same page and everybody can have the same environment set up and ready to do whatever needs to be done in. All right. So if you are in person, then all you have to do is go to a website, which will be on the next slide.
Yeah, you can kind of ignore this.
Yes.
This
So
slide.
this slide is mainly for people that are online. So for anybody online, you do need to be on the Auburn VPN. So this link, which is auburn.edu/download, will take you to a page of a bunch of different downloads. Make sure to grab the Global Protect VPN. I think it's by Palo Alto.
Yep.
So it's Palo Alto Global Protect. Download that. Then once it downloads and does all of its stuff, you need to set your portal to auvpn2.auburn.edu, and then it's going to ask you for your username, it's going to ask you for your password, and then it's going to send you a do a request. Also, for anybody in person, if you go home tonight and say, "Hey, I want to work on the CTF on this mock CTF server," you can access it the same way. And these slides will be posted shortly, so everybody can look at it for yourself. You don't have to take a picture or memorize all that information if you don't know it off the top of your head, or if you have never set it up before. All right, so if you are on Auburn's network, either VPN or here in person, all you have to do is go to that website, mockctf.auburn.edu. It is an important note, it is HTTP, not HTTPS. Yeah. If you put in HTTPS, you will not get anything. We need to fix that, and we're aware of that. But
do not use your university credentials.
Yes, that is another thing. This is not Auburn's. This is the club's. So don't put in, if you go to create an account, which we want you to create an account, obviously, but do not put in your Auburn password. Put in something else. And you don't have to use your real name. You can use your hacker name or anything you want to use. It's up to you. But it's not tied to Auburn, and we will probably wipe it after this anyways. Yeah. Just to make sure that no one's stuff is there sitting for people to see.
Oh, yeah. If you need a laptop, I can grab one for you.
Yes.
Okay. Is that just two?
2 laptops?
All right.
Okay.
If anyone else needs a laptop, we've got provisioned laptops. They have all the tools you need. So I'll get those soon.
Yeah. All right. So then last thing. Before I get to the last point. So once you create an account, you are feel free to move around in here if you're in person. Find a couple other people to work on it with. We want you guys to meet each other and make some connections, and hopefully start meeting other people that are interested in cybersecurity just like you are. Flag format. So if you're not familiar with a CTF, you're going to be looking for particular flags. So the flag is going to look like either AUEHC and then in braces something. So is there a marker in here? There's not. That's unfortunate. Oh well. Okay. So you're going to be looking for example, maybe you have Albee, brace, Auburn, or maybe you have Albee, brace, 1, 2, 3, 4 in brace. Or alternatively, it could be AUCTF, the same type thing. So it should be very obvious. Once you get the flag, you should know this is the flag. Now if you try and submit it and it says, oh, there's not a this isn't accepted, then okay, it may be wrong. There may be some fake flags in there depending on what mean person wrote the challenge. So I'm going to go real quick over here just to kind of show you guys. So once you get yeah, you're good. So once you get logged in,
You can grab a marker from there while you're up there.
so once you get logged in, you're going to see a bunch of stuff. And also tell me if anybody has any issues creating an account or accessing. If you have any issues at all accessing, let us know and we will.
Yeah, I was gonna say if you already had an account on there, the mail server thing's broke, so the reset password's not gonna work. But if you tell me, I can reset it for you.
Yes. So Zach can reset passwords if you have an issue, and if you're online, just Discord, DM, OG Commando, or Zach Leggett, OG Commando, or whatever.
Yeah, I don't have that name anymore. So
Okay, well. All right, so we're gonna just quickly solve the very first challenge, just kind of as a dummy. So we're gonna go to the first web challenge, just so everybody can kind of see. So it's gonna take you to. All right, so are there any ideas as to what could be going on here? All right, what you got? Okay, so we're gonna pretend like we have validated that everything is as it's supposed to be. Okay, so everything is. This is the thing that it sends back. Everything is up, everything is open, and it still sends this back. So what is an extremely low level basic thing to do with any website that you might have? Check the source code. All right, that's a good start. All right, so we're going to just do view page source. We can see this is a nice, simple, nothing complicated. And if we see down here at the bottom, we have this Albee. Hopefully everybody can see that. I guess I can. Oh, all right, so we have this nice Albee and say try harder in some sort of leet speak. All right, so if we take this, I copied that, and I'm going to go back to over here now. I'm going to decrease that because that's a little big. I'm going to copy this. I'm going to hit submit, and we get it correct. So that's awesome. So that's first challenge. Again, they're not all going to be that easy. They're going to get more complicated, but that's just kind of a intro to here's a CTF, here's a basic problem. Here's how I would do that. So we have all kinds of categories. You're welcome to do any of them that you're interested in. I know typically for beginners, crypto is typically a fun one. We also have sequence, which is just gonna really be annoying to you probably and make you pound your head against the table. Or it could, and you may find it really easy, but that's just typically what I've seen in CTF's past. Bash is another particularly good beginner one. It's just dropping you in a command line shell and giving you a prompt of, hey, do this, and you get the flag. Trivia also can be a good beginner if you don't know all of the tools and that type of stuff. Password cracking, probably not. The early ones, very beginner friendly. The farther you go, the less beginner friendly they get. Same thing with reversing. That at a point they're going to get more complicated. So, and they should in general start easy and get hard for the most part. All right, so now that we have kind of gotten everybody started, hopefully that already knows what they're doing, everybody started on the mock CTF, I'm going to go over how to set up a Kali Linux VM. So we typically use Kali Linux just because it is technically probably the best for offensive security more than defensive security, but it's got a lot of tools shipped with it that we're going to use in the club. So we typically use Kali instead of Ubuntu or Mint or CentOS or pick your Linux distro. So you're welcome to use any distro of Linux. It's just you're going to have to install extra packages or any of that type of stuff. All right, so how many people in the room right now are going to need help or are interested in this in setting up a Kali Linux VM and have not done that before and would like assistance with that? Okay, that's great. So if you guys would either, I think, did you guys both get the email that Vicky sent out maybe 2 hours ago? Are you guys on the mailing list? Okay, that's fine. I can. Let me escape out of this. Okay, so first off, you're going to start off. You're going to download a virtual machine platform. Okay, so there are two big ones: VirtualBox and Virtual Machine. You can pick either one. I would personally recommend VirtualBox. Just it's easy, it's free, and there aren't really any issues. What's up? Yes. Not really any issue. So VirtualBox is what I would recommend. So if you go to, so I have a link here, and again, this will be available later. But if you just go to VirtualBox download, you should come to a page that looks a lot like this. And if you click download VirtualBox, that's what you want to do. Also, if you're using a Mac, the Macs already have VirtualBox and they already have your environment completely configured. So that's just if you're using one of our Macs. So once you've downloaded VirtualBox, and if I need to wait and let things download and not go so fast, let me know. And also, you guys that are working on the mock CTF, again, talk amongst yourselves. Do whatever. That's all good. What you got? If you got one of the ones that Charlie just gave out, you do not need to download it. If you did not get one of Charlie's 4 MacBooks that he just handed out, wherever they all went, I don't know who. Oh, okay, there's 2 here. Yeah, if you did not get one of those, then you need to download it.
What's up?
And I'll give you guys a second to get it downloaded. If you guys want to let me know when it's downloaded. And yeah, you got it backwards. It's also lowercase. I think it's lowercase. Test it. Is it lowercase?
Capital A Auburn.
Capital A Auburn. I don't know. I was the one that configured them. I should know. But all right. There you go. All right. How is VirtualBox download coming? Is it being slow? Okay. What about you guys in the back? Is VirtualBox installing? Hopefully. Okay. All right. We'll give it another second for her to finish it up. Yeah, and don't want to leave anybody behind.
So was there something about VirtualBox when we were working on the Intel 86 Max? M1 Max?
There is something about that. Yeah. Did they work with VMware?
It's not x86.
Oh.
It's ARM only. Parallels only though.
Oh. Okay. Well, does anybody have an M1 Mac? How recent would that be? 2020. Does anybody have a 2020 Mac? Or newer? Okay. Golly, man, why do they have to change software where it can break stuff?
But they changed the hardware, the architecture of the software.
Well, I know. I'm sorry. Why can't the okay? So what do you use? Can you not do VirtualBox or virtual machines at all?
Well, I think you said you could do like ARM. Yeah, you can. You can say you can run ARM. Because that's virtual. Yeah.
Okay.
I would just give them one back.
Yeah, that's probably a good idea. Okay, so did you give her a MacBook, Charlie? Okay, and you in the back, you said you also had a new MacBook. Okay. We'll let you use one of these. So this will already
been there.
have.
I've been on that one.
VirtualBox will already be on it.
Big charger.
It's a weapon.
Yeah.
That's a trick question.
John's too small.
So he installed VirtualBox.
Mine
How does
is.
he know it's big? So he installed.
What's the URL to the one
ACTF.
Yeah, ACT.
HTTP. No, that's
Yeah, I remember y'all were first.
Auburn.edu.
It's not CTF.
Yep.
If you're gonna launch one of those, I'll go probably.
I think you would be able to download VirtualBox. I don't think you would actually be able to run.
Put my feet on it. Who's my feet?
You
Yeah, it's just they changed the.
laptop. He's got two big chunks for one laptop.
Oh.
Actually, it's like 1 year and then 1 year.
Yeah, yes, two. Like those barrel floats, he just has two of them going to the back of the laptop. Like it's so big.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that's how much power is there. I'm like,
So whichever VMware.
My first email was from
Once that's done,
I'm very happy.
it's a little more straightforward.
Sometimes I
So that's if you wanted to like install that
when I
as
have
your
my
basically you don't have a hypervisor. You don't have
that's kind of what I use this every day if I need it.
So most of you guys use VirtualBox. Yeah. You have an entire computer dedicated to Linux that you would download it.
It's like there's Windows Phone that exists, but it's still like in development.
We're not.
Yeah, that's thinking about doing beefing up my parking lot
You want to wait for, I'll wait for her to finish before I go to the next. Where's my backpack? All right. So now I'm gonna the middle first. All right. So if you have downloaded VirtualBox or VMware, either one is fine. So next you're going to go to cali.org. So I think if you just type in Kali download, you're going to do get Kali Linux. That takes you to the same that I'm here. So interestingly enough, it does have an ARM. I wonder what that goes to. Oh. Yeah. Okay, but yeah, so you're gonna go. Actually, I take that back. I don't know. So if you're in person, Charlie has some flash drives that have a Kali OVA on it already installed or already set up and all that. If you're online, you'll need to go to here and pull your particular VM. So either your VirtualBox or your VMware, and that's 2.6 or 3.8 gigs. So that will take a second. Again, if you're in person, we have a flash drive. You can just pull it to your local machine and then import it into VirtualBox or VMware. And I'll go over how to do that in just a second. And I think I actually have a slide on it as well. No, I don't. Okay. Have we had any questions from online people? I have 4 DMs that I don't know what they're from.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, has Vicky been adding us?
Probably like,
Yeah. Because I realized I totally forgot in the email to put that we're streaming.
It's okay. All right. All right. So does anybody need help with the OVA or the virtual machine file? Anybody need a whatever it's called, a USB or any of that? I think Charlie got it to everybody, but did you get everybody a USB to install? Yes. All right. Any questions? Has your OVA file downloaded yet? Okay. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I know that's going to take some time, so. Okay. All right. So if you're currently working on the CTF, again, find a buddy, find a partner, and make some friends. I know we're hacker people that don't like to interact with people, but
There's no job openings that change. There's no other
you think I have enough Kali VMs? 1, 2, 3. Well, because every time I set up one and like I've made like 2 in the last 2 weeks. Who knows? Instead of just updating and exporting this one, I'm like, I'll just import a new one, and test that it works. I don't know. I need to delete them. This is my real one. Yeah, and just as a general note, the Kali is not required for every challenge. In fact, it's probably not required for more than half of the challenges. But as we progress throughout the year or throughout this semester, there are going to be points when you're going to need certain tools and things like that are already encased within the Kali Linux. So that's kind of why we just like to go ahead and start that off now. Also, if you're not familiar with Linux and have never used Linux, then it can be a bit overwhelming at first. I know when I joined EHC, I get over 2 years ago now, and as evident by my 2018 Kali Linux that I probably installed at the first EHC meeting I went to, Linux was a little scary. I didn't know much about Linux. I'd never used it. I just knew how to LS, and that was about it. And I tried to treat it like Windows, and it's not Windows. But that's okay. I mean, the more you use it, the better you're going to get, the more you're going to learn. So don't expect to be a wizard at Linux. It took me years and years, multiple years to feel comfortable. All right, so did everybody get their thing downloaded yet? Hopefully.
It should be the other way, right? With this flashes, I think the flashes are one way.
It's Kali.
You
Here.
don't even need to.
Oh, really? Just Moxie?
Okay, well, actually, that might default.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I feel like almost that.
It doesn't matter. It's just
The principle. Okay, yeah. Oh, wait, no, it works.
Yeah. So if you download the Kali virtual machine, it is Kali. If you have a really old instance, I think it's Tor. Is it?
Root?
Yeah, it's root Tor, I think.
Root Tor is your Kali.
Yeah. Yeah. So Kali is new. It's current. It's the new cool thing. So at the point that you've got your Kali VM downloaded, if you're in VirtualBox, all you're going to do is click import and then navigate to that file. So if you click tools up at the top, if I go here to a VM, it's not going to work. But if I'm on tools, click import and then pick my file. So for example, for me, I could go to Kali. If I wanted to open this, it would start creating a virtual machine. I'm not going to do that because, again, as previously stated, I already have 3 Kali VMs, which I don't need more. Yep, probably. It's a good thing we're already in here. All right, so any questions so far? We don't want anybody to feel like they're getting left in the dust yet. Everybody figuring it out? Somewhat? Yes. Yeah, exactly. All right, so if everybody is caught up with setting up a VM and all of that, so we'll hop over here to the CTF. So what are some challenges that you guys are working on right now? Anybody? Yeah, any categories that are of particular interest to people? All right, so Bash, for anybody who's not familiar with the term Bash, in this case, we're basically saying this is like intro to Linux. And what I mean by intro to Linux is not all the deep down parts of the operating system, but basically intro to the command line of Linux, which depending on, I think Kali actually defaults to Z shell now. Yeah, ZSH. So there are different shells. There's Z shell, Bash, just regular shell. So these just kind of are intro to, here are some commands and here's how you use them in Linux. So again, is anybody having any issues connecting or getting set up? If you are, somebody will help you. Maybe me, maybe Trip.
And if you're doing like something like this, you can also use Mac.
Yeah, again, a lot of these can be done from your local machine. They don't all have to be done in Linux. Most of them don't have to be done in Linux, especially for Mac, if you have a command line. All right. No, I probably should have started a machine. Let's see if this is running. All right, so this is the first level of Bash. If you haven't already done it, so we see up here at the top, we give it our command, which was literally given to us in the prompt. All I did was copy and paste that. I gave it the password Auby, which again was given in the prompt. All right, so at this point, I have a shell. Usually, if you see a $sign, that means you have some form of shell. That's pretty a pretty constant truth. All right, so who can tell me anything to do at this point? Now that I'm on the box, what do I need to look at? How do I look at stuff? Go ahead. Yep. So let's LS. So for those of you not familiar, LS stands for list. So it is going to list everything in your current folder. So Linux calls things directories, whereas if you're familiar with Windows, I don't know about Mac, but Windows calls them folders typically. So if you're like File Explorer and you open a folder, you double click and you go in a folder and you double click another folder and go in again. It's the same type thing in Linux. It's just called a directory. So they're the same thing, can be used synonymously. All right, so we list everything that's in our current directory or our current folder, and we see a one single file called README. So does anybody, either can they Google or does anybody know how to open a file off the top of their head? And again, you're welcome to Google, how do you open a file in Linux? Yeah, or just dump it to standard out. How do I view the contents? However you want to do that. So you want to pipe it to. You want to do that? Or you want like what? How do we just open and look at the file? I mean that would technically work if we piped the contents of it to another file, but then we have the exact same problem that we have right now. How do you open that file?
Well, you could pipe it to standard out, but
Yeah. All right. I heard somebody say cat. All right. So it doesn't have autocomplete on here. I apologize for it not having autocomplete. So cat stands for concatenate. It's not usually used for concatenating, really. I think Dr. Springall had an interesting use the other day to actually concatenate stuff with it. But cat basically just shows you the contents of the file and prints that to standard out. So standard out is what you're looking at right here in your terminal currently. That's just stuff getting spewed to the terminal. All right, so we cat readme, and we have mom gets I don't know. What is that supposed to say? I have no camera. Is that camera? Mom gets the camera? Maybe, I don't know. But I would take this. I would copy this, and I would go and paste it in and submit. So now you solved first challenge. All right, any questions? Is everybody kind of figuring things out a little bit, maybe? All right, do we want to stick with this category or we want to do a different category? Silence. You want cryptography? Let's do cryptography. All right, awesome. So cryptography, particularly the first few, really don't require anything other than Google or your browser. All right. So we're given this. Does anybody have any idea, just looking at this, what that is? I can say I have absolutely no idea just looking at that what that is. So if you can, congratulations. You must be better at crypto than me, which is probably not that far of a stretch. All right, so any ideas on what we could do with this? Any idea on websites we could put it into, or maybe this hint, or maybe this title is a hint as to something we might could do.
Base 64.
All right, base 64. So is anybody familiar with base 64 encoding and base 64 decoding? All right. So if you're not familiar with it, base 64 is essentially grouping binary in a certain. It's stripping it down to binary and grouping it in certain ways so that it it generates different characters, and then
Like mapping random binary into a set of like printable characters.
yes, it's a direct conversion. It's a direct mapping conversion, basically. So that is probably one of the most popular encodings you will see, if not the most popular. So base 64 is super popular, and you'll hear about that more in the future. But so let's throw it in. There's an online decoder. Let's throw it in here, and where'd it go? Right here. All right, decode, and we get nothing. So these space byte things here are just non-representable ASCII characters, so not printable. All right, so if you're familiar with base 64, you might also have heard of or know of there is more than base 64. Think about what is base 2. Base 2 is binary, right? Base 3 is trinary, maybe. I don't know. Ternary, that's what it is, yeah. Base 4 is quernary, something like that. I don't know. Base 8, you may be more familiar with. Octal. Base 16, hexadecimal. Base 10, decimal. It's what we use every day. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So these kind of follow a pattern. There are lots of possibilities. You know, we can start at base 1. We can go to base 2000. Now, I will say base 2000, it might exist. It could possibly exist. I don't know of it existing. But hypothetically, it's possible. 2,000 random characters, yeah. So, that being said, it's worth seeing what's popular. So here in the first thing, we have not 65, but bigger. Okay, so it's probably going to be bigger than 64. I think we could all conclude that, hopefully. So let's start looking at some different levels of base. All right, so I'm going to go to base 64. I'm going to go to Wikipedia and see if they have a list of a bunch of different bases. I saw what I wanted a second ago, but I don't see it here yet. Okay, so here at the bottom we have C also. So we have C base 16, which we just talked about, which is hexadecimal, which is very common in computers. And if you're not there yet, you will get very familiar with base 16 probably by here. You have base 32, base 36, base 62. And then we also have this this ASCII 85 or base 85 is also highlighted here. So let's try base 85. Let's see if there's a base 85 decoder. I don't actually remember if this is correct or not, but we'll hope it's correct. All right, so if we, looks like it needed the white space. That's interesting. Or maybe it didn't. I don't know. Maybe I accidentally tabbed too much. Oh, yeah, I killed a J. All right, so now we can see that we got a flag. We got base 85 was the way that it was encoded. So that's just something that exclusively based off of Googling and a little bit of prior knowledge. I knew what base 64 was, and I understood encoding, and that was a thing. I was able to look at the Wikipedia page, do a little bit of research, find base 85. If I never knew base 85 existed, didn't matter, I do now, right? So a lot of these problems might require a little bit of Googling to figure some stuff out, and I can guarantee you all of us Google all the time. Cybersecurity is about, I'm going to say 50% knowing how to Google, and it might be more than that at times. Yeah, it's about 80 to 90% Googling, as Charlie said. So it is a lot of, can you Google, can you figure out some meaningful information, and then find some more meaningful information based off of that meaningful information. All right, so let's go back to here now. Submit that. We get our flag. Awesome. All right, so I'm also going to show you guys briefly another awesome website for crypto in general. This won't work for everything, but there's a website called CyberChef, and it kind of is the crypto all-in-one tool that does all kinds of cool stuff. I don't know if it will solve this or not, but I'm going to try it. I hope it solves it. Might not. Alright, so as you can see, there's all kinds of different things you can do. We're going to throw magic at it and hope that it can auto-detect. And it cannot. That's unfortunate. Can I intensive mode? I'm surprised it doesn't auto-detect it. Is there 85? Okay. Oh. Do I have a... At index 1? What do you mean it's invalid? Standard. Okay, well maybe this thing... Oh, okay, that worked. I shouldn't have had magic on. Alright, so once we run it through our base 85 here, same thing. So this is kind of a one-stop shop of, hey, I want to do base 85, I want to do base 32, I want to do base 64. Maybe I want to do some crazy public key stuff. I don't know what all they have. Yeah, I'm sure they have some RSA stuff, generating RSA key pair. All the stuff that Trip will get into, hopefully, in a couple of weeks. So, CyberChef, great resource. Highly recommend it just for general crypto challenges. All right. Awesome. 5 solves. That means at least 4 people are paying attention and following along. And if you're not inputting things and you're still learning, that's all good. So, all right. Any other categories that interest people?
How about the
Next one in crypto, and then what did you have? What did you want to do? The netcat ones? Which ones are the netcat ones? The Pwn? Okay. All right, we'll do both of those. We'll start with Ted Cruz real quick since we're already on crypto. Oh boy, we have an image. I don't actually know what, oh wait, no, I do know what this image is. I don't know why I'm doing this. No, it's a real image.
Oh yeah.
But,
Not like
alright, so that's what we're given.
Zodiac.
Alright, so 2 people guess Zodiac. So who is familiar with the Zodiac killer who was I think he was out of like San Francisco, is that right? Was he California? San Francisco?
California, I'm not sure.
So he had this special code that he wrote to newspapers and told them whatever. But it was this big thing that he wrote in fancy code. So this is, according to Trip and Vicky, if you can trust them, this is the cipher for that. So if you wanted to,
It's a joke that Ted Cruz is the Zodiac.
yes, and that's also, again, you will find with CTFs, everybody likes memes and everybody likes to joke and go along with stuff. So you will get rickrolled and you will have a Zodiac that be Ted Cruz. Like, that's something that you're going to see, and that's pretty common throughout the security community. It's fun, and I think it's it kind of it's lighthearted and not doesn't make it too serious. So I think it's fun. I like it. But all right, so if we wanted to do this, now we need to. That's the wrong Gmail or Google. If we wanted to do Zodiac cipher. I think it's. Let's do Zodiac decoder. How about that? All right, so you'll see we have these symbols. These look an awful lot like symbols that we see on this picture, right? So for the Zodiac, this particular cipher is what's called a substitution cipher. So each letter directly corresponds with a letter of the alphabet. So example, L. In this case, we know what our flag format is, right? So L has to be A. O has to be U. Depending on which one this one is, Y will either be C or B. I'm not sure which one. But there's a direct correlation with each letter to the letter it's supposed to be. So it's a substitution cipher. So if you had no idea about any of this, hopefully you would kind of get an idea by looking at it that we can see braces. If you remember in the first one, in the base 85 one, we didn't see braces. So that means they were part of the encoding. They were encoded as well. In this one, we see braces, so they're not part of the encoding. It kind of leans to looking like it is a substitution cipher. So if you have no idea about Ted Cruz or Zodiac Killer or any of that, let's say we want to look up substitution cipher. I don't know how far we would have to go to find. That's not ciphers. So if we just want to look up substitution ciphers, let's see if we can find the. Okay, Zodiac is not on here. That's unfortunate. Surely we can find something better than Wikipedia for. Now that one might not be bad. Let's back up. So decode.fr is another really good crypto site. Does a lot of different things. You can do all kinds of, for example, like here. So I can list all these substitution ciphers. So hypothetically, if I had no idea and I knew it was a substitution cipher, I could go look through every single one of these, not that you would probably want to, and hopefully find it. Now, ironically, I don't even see Zodiac inside of here, so I don't know. This is here. Oh, it's a symbol substitution cipher. Okay. So, and maybe you pick up on that. If you pay attention to the picture, we have this colored in circle. We have this weird looking thing, whatever that is. We have a plus sign, a backwards D and a forwards D. It's not completely straightforward. So if we wanted to actually look at symbol substitution ciphers as a sub tier, we would find our Zodiac cipher down here, or Zodiac Killer cipher. So I'm personally not going to type all that in just because it's painful to have to click every single thing. It's always mean when somebody gives it to you as a picture. But we do that intentionally sometimes just so you can't paste it into Google and see what happens. Or at least it's harder to paste it into Google and see what happens. So I will let you guys solve that one on your own. Potentially. Which challenge? Easy as pie is a what? Oh, okay, here. Okay, yeah, we can go ahead and do this one. I know you want to do a pwn anyways. I don't actually have any idea how to solve any of these. I'm just kind of going off the... Wait. Is that link wrong? Have all these been... Have you been able to do some of them? Have they all been AUCTF? So we need to change this, just as a note, Zach. It's on AUCTF. These are on mockctf.auburn.edu.
Which one?
Easy as pie. I don't know where it's running. I'm going to assume it's running at... All right. So yeah, we have a bug there, but that's all good. So we have a custom shell, and if you hopefully you can see that. I can make it a little bit bigger. That's probably a little too big. All right. So if we go, we're gonna access this via netcat. So that's a way to just access another system, kind of similar to SSH, but not really. So this is going to give us a Python shell, or I assume by PyShell we get a Python shell. All right, so any ideas on how we can break out of this? I'm assuming that's what our goal is, right? We ls, oh, we can see flag.txt. Can we cat a flag.txt? Don't have the perms. Well, if we cat acl.txt, that's not how you spell. Gosh, not clear. Yeah, for real. See you guys. All right, so we have a few things we can see there. We can see the owner and, well, not really the owner, but we can also see the owner that is user or root, and then we also see the permissions that are associated with that particular file. So acl.txt is 606. So does anybody have any idea what that permission means? Also, this is just for those of you that are not familiar. This format is file name. It should be in this. I'm going to assume it's user. If you actually look at it in Linux, it'll usually be file name, user, and group. And then you'll have your permissions for that file. So I'm gonna cheat and do this, which is Linux file permissions cheat. All right, so the way I'm trying to remember, is it, which one's first? Is it user, group, then owner, group, everyone else? Okay, yeah. So we have three numbers over here. We have 600. We have owner is 6. For example, for this top one, owner has a permissions of 6. The group has permissions of 0. Everybody else permissions of 0. So again, you could Google that. You could find that out. We have 600. So that means if we go back to our cheat sheet, that the owner has read and write permissions. So the owner has read and write permissions of user.txt. They have read and write permissions of acl.txt, flag.txt, acl.txt. Everyone has read and write permissions. And who is the owner? Root. So that's something of interest. So that might be a way to maliciously do something with that. Whereas I'm assuming, since it says user at PyShell, my user's name is user. So that would mean I could technically access user.txt, which we actually have an access. Let's check out user.txt. This is some user content. I bet you wish the flag was here. Not wrong. I can access that. I can. Oh, that's interesting. Can I do this? No, I can. So there are also some hidden files here. So if it's precursed or is the beginning of the file starts with a period in Linux, it's considered a hidden file. So when I ls, it will not show up. Now, I tried to earlier do ls tag alh, which would display hidden files in normal Linux, but this is special Linux that doesn't let you do that. But from our acl.txt, we're able to see that there are 2 hidden files. So that is of interest. Unfortunately, the hidden file flag.txt had nothing, and we should not be able to access the hidden file of acl.txt. Can somebody tell me why I should not be able to access the hidden file of acl.txt? What you got? Exactly. I don't own it. So it is telling me that read and write, I can read and write if I'm the owner, but I'm not the owner. Who is the owner? Root. So, again, don't have the perms. Alright, so any ideas on how we could potentially leverage acl.txt to access some of these other files? So you think it reads the permissions from this file?
From acl.txt.
Yep. So you think it's just reading the permissions off of this. If it sees that, oh, user.txt is 777. So again, we'll go back to our cheat sheet real quick. 777 is read, write, execute for group or for user or owner. It's read, write, execute for group, and it's read, write, execute for everyone. This is in general bad practice, not a good thing to do, but if you're trying to break something, read 777 is a good thing. If you're trying to break and do bad things. Alright, so how do you think, can we vim to it? No chance, right? Probably like VI or something dumb. Can we just pipe to it? Right? That.
There's also a help command.
You say it like that? Alright. So we're going to write, or we're going to try this. I don't know if this will work or not. So we're going to write, we're going to, whatever content we want, and we're going to give it the file name to write to. Alright, so I think Tripp had a good idea of, okay, let's try and write, does this need to be quoted or not? Probably not. Well, probably should, because it's going to be a full string. So we'll actually no, it won't. ACL flag dot txt colon root colon 777. Again, give it full permissions. Then we'll write that to ACL.text. All right, so who can walk me through what that's doing? Anybody? Adding content to the beginning of the file. Specifically, it's adding flag.text root 777 to ACL.text. So if it's performing like we think it is, which again we don't really know and we haven't been able to validate up until this point, then hopefully it'll look at that file, it'll say, oh, flag.text, yeah, that can be accessed, that has read, write, execute by everybody, go ahead. Alright, so now let's look at our ACL.text. Okay, so it wrote there successfully. Now let's try and access flag.text. And we get the flag. And there is a typo there, but hopefully that doesn't affect it. It does? Oh, well. This is easy as pie. Just change it to be non-case sensitive. Oh, there's an underscore on the front. Wait, actually, this may not be it.
What's the flag that you have?
It's hey the flag. That's not it, is it?
No, this is the one that people like spam DM us back because they don't know.
Okay, so what is something that we noticed earlier that was odd about this in general? What you got? There's a hidden file. So we noticed that earlier. We just assume that it's in the non-hidden file. What if it's not in the non-hidden file? What if it's in the hidden file? Or what if it's in any of the other ones that could be owned by root, right? All right, so let's do the similar process that we just did. Again, this is the exact same thing. Except this time we add the dot to the front, so we specify a hidden file. It would have helped if I would have specified a file to write to. Alright, so now let's cat.flag.text. Nope, not here, sorry. Okay, well, what other files do we not have access to? So we also don't have access to this .acl.text that is owned by root. Let's try that one. At some point, there's only so many files, and I'm hoping this is the right thing. I really don't know. Aha. So, and you get the flag. Ha, you got trolled. Welcome to Pwnland. Does it not work?
That's the right flag. No, that's the right.
Wait, what? Yeah, no,
Yeah, it's not working.
Well, that's supposed to do what that's what the flag is supposed to do.
I just thought this was layered.
Okay, we can let Zach figure that out.
DM that to me so I can compare.
Yeah. Alright. So that was a little more complicated of a problem, but and also slightly broken, slightly frustrating that you may have solved it and then not really solved it. Oh yeah, sorry, what you got?
Hey, so how did you know about the hidden file?
So let me go back over here. So for this particular instance, it actually just, if I catted ACL, so okay, so if I ls here, okay, so that's going to list all my files, right? I have 3 files. Sorry, I feel like I should be looking at you since I'm talking to you, but there's a massive monitor in the way. Okay, so I have 3 files. I have acl.txt, I have user.txt, I have flag.txt. So I just chose to open the top file, which is acl.txt, which I'm assuming is that stand for access control in hindsight now? I assume. Access control list, okay. So that's irrelevant really, but so ignore all this 777 stuff at the top. I'm gonna highlight what to pay attention to. So, well, I highlighted too much. Okay, what does this look like to you? So to me, this looks like a list of all the files that I have. I just did an LS, and what are the 3 things I saw? I saw flag.txt, I saw ACL, I saw user.txt. What I did not see was .acl.txt or .flag.txt. Since I already know the general Linux format for hidden files, that immediately clued me to, okay, these are probably hidden flags. Again, I suspected that the hidden flags were irrelevant. I made the wrong choice there, and that was the intent of the challenge, obviously. But that's how we got clued into hidden files. If you were in a... we were not inside this shell. If I can exit it, please. Okay. So if I was not inside this shell and I was to ls, okay, I don't see any hidden files. If I was to do ls tac alh, I would see all kinds of stuff. You see dot files, which are hidden files. Does that answer your question good?
Yeah, appreciate it.
All right, any other questions about any of the stuff we've covered? We've covered from basic web to bash to cryptography to reversing, not really reversing, pwn, breaking stuff. Any questions? I know we've kind of just bounced around and done all kinds of things. Anybody working on any other challenges? Or interested in going back to a challenge and talking about it again? Everybody, has everybody been able to follow along relatively well? At least kind of understand. Again, I don't, especially like the last problem, I don't expect you to completely, when you see that, know exactly this is what I'm supposed to do. The more you do it, the more you get to that point. The goal is for us is to get you to that point of recognition faster. Of, oh, here's some interesting stuff. Let's go do this. All right. If there are no current questions, what challenge you guys want to do next? We got more time. What you got? Password cracking. Okay. Okay. Yeah, I can do these on here. Okay. So for password cracking, there's a little bit of prerequisite that is involved with password cracking. First off, the first few we'll use an online, well, the first one, we'll use an online tool that you can do in your browser. But understanding what you're looking at when you get to password cracking is important. Because as with anything, if you open something up and you have no idea what this right here is, what do I do with it? So this is something that will likely be covered at some point. Trip may cover it in cryptography. I mean, it's got some cryptography implications. But hashing is how passwords are handled so that if you hash your password and you give me that hash, I'm not supposed to be able to get your password from that hash. That is ideally. Yes, so it is. I'll take I got a marker here now. So you have a password. I can go from password to hash that way? You should not be able to, and good secure hashes, good secure passwords, you should not be able to go from the hash to the password. So, for example, you'll hear different, there's no telling how many different hashing algorithms. It's something that happens the same way every time. So, if my password is password, and I hash that with, we'll say MD5, which is a bad hashing algorithm that has been broken. If I hash that with that particular algorithm, it will generate, we'll just pretend like it generates this. It doesn't. It'll look like a bunch of numbers and hexadecimal stuff. If I hash it again the same way,
Precisely that way.
yes, it will look exactly like that on the screen. If I hash this exact same password again, it will give me this exact same output again. So no matter how many times I hash something, it's going to give me the same output. So that's kind of how, at a basic level, how passwords are stored in a secure way. So I shouldn't be able to go from here to here, but if I have the hash, so let's say I give Trip my hash for my password. He can't do anything with that, right? I mean, he should not be able to get my password, none of that. But if I need to authenticate to something Trip owns, and I give it my password, and it hashes it and compares to the hash that he has on file, and they match, okay, well, I input the right password. So that's one additional thing that's relevant to hashing is all hashes should be unique. So this is different than so this, even though I only changed the lowercase and uppercase, would compute completely different hashes. Ideally, it wouldn't just be like the last bit change. This is not like a substitution cipher. It would really be more of like this now translates to, I don't know.
Literally a 1-bit change on the input too.
Yeah, I mean, maybe it literally changes that dramatically. Okay, so that is a very, very brief, and again, there's a whole lot more to dive into there. But that's just kind of a starter of understanding what a hash is and what that means. So now we're going to take our hash, and what you can do is, because these things are, it's fast to generate a hash, and it is the same thing every time, what you can do is brute force. So if you have a 6-character password, that 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 is my password. How many seconds do you think it would take to calculate all possible characters at this level, at this level, this level, this level, this level? So if I know it's a number, so I have 0 through 9 here, 0 through 9 here, 0 through 9 here, 0 through 9, 0 through 9, 0 through 9. You might think, oh, that would probably take a long time. 10 seconds, maybe less. Very fast. So if you the more complex you make it, let's say I add in 0 through 9 at each of these. More complicated. More compute time. I take this, I add in lowercase and uppercase. More compute time. I take this, I add numbers, lowercase, uppercase, and special characters, even more compute time. It gets exponentially more time. I mean, just think, you're adding all of this, however long it took to do this, well, now I have to do what my alphabet is. So again, high level, I don't expect you to understand all the intricacies of or password hashing at this point. But if we have a hash, we can throw it in, we can do two things. First off, we could run hashcat and we could kind of build our own. Maybe we say, oh, we think the first 10 digits are all lowercase and the last character is a special character. Maybe that's what we think. We write some kind of algorithm that exclusively does that. And it doesn't care if it's 111111111 because we don't think that's a possible password. So you can get into all kinds of complicated things like that, which in the layer challenges they do. But for this one, we're just going to use what's called Crackstation, which is an online cracker. And this is using a word list. So that's another very popular. If you're not brute forcing, what are common? Password. Password 123. Our password to these boxes are Auburn, right? Like those are just general common passwords. So somebody decided to collect, I don't know, 15 million. How big is RockU now?
The new one?
Yeah.
I don't know, pretty big.
It's over 100 gig.
Yeah.
Over 100 gig. Yeah, so somebody has gone to the effort to just create a mass of all these they consider potentially common passwords. So here, Crackstation just kind of runs through, I don't know, maybe the top million or so.
They have a lot more. They have like a couple different dictionaries that they run against for you.
All right, so our first one is Princess. It also, interestingly enough, gives us the hash type. So for MD5 in particular, we already know that is an extremely broken hashing algorithm. You can always do basically a direct from the hash to the password. You don't even really have to brute force that. Is that correct, Trip? For MD5, I mean, you can pretty much go straight from the hash to the password regardless of length or any of that, right?
So I think MD5's weakness comes from finding collisions easily.
Okay.
So you wouldn't be able to like go backwards to.
But there are a lot of collisions.
Yeah. Or well, it's easy to find.
Okay.
Which comes into play in other circumstances and stuff.
Yeah. So collisions is kind of a whole extra thing, and I need to charge this thing or it's going to die and we're not going to have a stream. So collisions is kind of an extra thing, and I won't get into that. But here, again, we see Princess is our password. That's all for my machine.
Here they use like a pre-computed table as well, so they just have like a list of common words and then corresponding hashes, and they search through that.
Yeah, so we could actually even look at Crackstation's word list. I don't really want to download it, but because we have 190 gigs, 15 billion entry lookup table. Again, it's very extensive. I could look up RockU. Another very popular one is RockU.txt. So you'll find this is a word list. Oh, no. Well, I guess it's downloading now. Only 133 meg. Plot twist, it's a zip bomb. It is. It is. That's why I'm okay with opening this. And
The old one's on Cali by default. So
yes, it is. It'll ever load. I'm pretty sure Princess is literally in like the first 25 on RockU. I might be wrong, but
It's definitely in there.
all right. You know what? Close the program.
I was wrong. It's only decompressed 92 gigabytes.
All right. So we got Princess is our thing. Do we have to wrap it? There you go. Albie was the. So Albie Princess. That's what it is. All right. Any other? So it's kind of an intro to password cracking. Again, that is a lot of fun. If you have good passwords, it's not super. Somebody get locked out? Yeah, the doors lock at 6 o'clock, so we're all in here still, so we'll let you back in though. All right, so again, we have covered a ton, more than I expected to cover, in all honesty. So, did everybody at least, again, I don't expect you to remember or even have known about the majority of this. This is just kind of general, hopefully warming you guys up to the world of security and kind of introducing you to some concepts at a relatively base level, and also having it kind of in a game style, so you can compete and actually solve challenges. If you really get into CTFs, it's addictive. It really is. And it's a lot of fun. And we'll do more CTFs, and this will also be up indefinitely as long as it doesn't go down for some unknown reason. So you're welcome to access this at any time if you want to play around or try and in 3 days, if you can go back and do this challenge that I just did. Okay, you're learning something. You're picking something up. Again, it's not instant. It's going to take time to learn. So any questions? Was everybody able to get their environment set up relatively? I see some head nods. I don't see any head shakes, so that's good. Any questions about any of the challenges we did? Hopefully you learned something. And hopefully you won't forget it all in 30 minutes. Like I said, I think it when I first joined and first started, again, 3 years ago now, which seems like a long time ago, I know there was a lot of stuff that just went right over my head, and I had no idea. And again, perfectly okay. We're not expecting you to pick all of this up instantly. It is something that at the start, it's a steep hill to climb, and then once you get up it a little bit, it starts getting easier and easier the more you do it. And if it's something you're interested in as a career, it's good to start and get that going now. All right, well, with that, I think